By the way, coming up is a story you all want to listen to, folks. Forget about my stories a day. This young lady here has a story and a half. I tell you, sit back. Better yet, lean forward. A story a day.
I was born and raised up in Nanyuki in a small village called Kalalo. Yes, but you normally say Kararo. Maybe when I say Kararo, people will understand this is, yeah?
How far? I mean, is it near Timau? Is it
Actually, it's between Timau and Nanyuki town, yeah? Yes.
Good, okay.
Between there.
And it's a family of 17 kids?
Yes, my dad was a polygamist man. And the first wife came from Kapsabet, and my mom is the youngest, yeah, who is a Kikuyu. And I'm the second last in both families.
And the other wife was from?
The other wife was?
From where?
From Kapsabet.
And the first and the other one?
My mom is from Kikuyu land.
Right.
Yes.
And they got along?
Very well, actually. They used to live like sisters. We used to enjoy every time our stepmother came and the way they were interacting like sisters. And together with us children, we used to have an exchange program, we used to call it. Our dad would tag us along to Kapsabet, and the other kids would come to my mom's home.
Is that right?
Yes.
So, when you're 15, you drop out of school?
Yes, I did my first KCPE in 1993. And yes, based on my father's background, I was taken through rite of passage. This was in preparation for adulthood, like they used to do. And then that was the end of my
FGM.
education. Yes. It's not from medical perspective, it's FGM, but from cultural perspective, it's female circumcision.
And you happily went through it?
Actually, I was looking forward to that because that is what we knew, according to where I was growing up in that environment, yeah? Where girls used to go through that rite of passage at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah? So by the time I was doing my KCPA, I had lost a lot of friends because they had gone ahead of me, and having gone ahead of me, we had nothing to share. So I was really looking forward to my turn so that I could join my friends and so that we can just enjoy our adulthood.
Have never asked a woman who went through this what it was like. So I'm going to ask you, was it painful? Do you remember any of it?
It was painful, but that was the joy of going through it. That you'd go through it as a woman, face it, don't cry. That was the first rule. You should not cry, because if you cry, then you are a coward. And others would laugh at you. And actually, we used to be told, if you cry, no man will want to marry. Who would want to marry a coward who will not be able to withstand that childbirth, labor, and such things, yeah? But those are the mates and what we used to be told, yeah? Yes, it was, but that was the beauty of it, that you experience that pain, you prepare to adulthood, and female circumcision has a psychological aspect of it to prepare you for challenges that you're going to face as a woman. And what used to be told is that when you go through it boldly, then it means that you're going to cope up with the challenges that you're going to face.
Okay, let me jump forward and then we'll come back again. Yes. You have 3 daughters.
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
7, 5, 3.
Would you recommend they go through?
Not at all.
Why not? Because you seem to really enjoy.
Jeff, not to really enjoy, because that time that is what we knew because of the environment we grew up in. But today, I don't think you become a strong woman, a bold woman, a courageous woman by just being subjected to that pain. Yeah? Or what I don't do, I don't want to blame my parents for taking me through that, yeah, because in FG practicing communities, yeah, they prepare. That is the only way they know to prepare their girls. It's just like a market. You supply to the market what is on demand, and during then they were just preparing their daughters to the marriage market, whereby the prospective man were just looking for girls who had gone through that past.
When your daughters are of age, will you tell them what you went through?
Yes, I will.
You'll tell them?
I will.
You'll explain?
Yes, and I explain why they shouldn't go what I went through. Yes.
All right, good. Let's come back again. So you drop out of school. Your folks can't afford it. You're sent to your aunt in Kapsabet.
Yes, after now this seclusion period, yeah, the seclusion period, maybe I would explain a little bit. It is this period within which you're healing and you're being taken through lessons by those women. Yeah. Then my parents sent me to Kapsabet to live with my auntie, who's my father's sister. And while there, my auntie was brewing changa and making busa as her source of living. And this is what she trained me in. So after 2 months, I realized that that environment was not conducive and it was not favorable, because I could see at 6 a.m. men and women, children, waking us to sell them these brew and all those things.
Children?
Yes, everyone. In Kapsabet, actually, it is terrible. Even today, 2 years ago, we went to bury my stepmom, and the culture is still the same.
Everyone drinks?
Everyone is
6 a.m.
I tell you. So I realized that it was just a matter of time before some museums would just identify a potential, the second or third wife there. So, and then I decided, no, this is not a place for me. I went back home to my parents in Nanyuki. And that is when I decided that staying home will not do me good. Because actually, let me say this, that when I was growing up in my village, we never had role models. Yeah? Right. Because after now, this culture of rite of passage, girls would drop out of school, or those who managed to clear class 8 would just get married at a very young age. And I didn't like what I was seeing after they have dropped out, gotten married at a very young age. So I had made up my mind that one, I'm not going to get a child at that age. Secondly, I was not going to get married at that age. So the only option I had now that I didn't have any hope to continue my education was just to start working at the house help, which I did. In
Nanyuki?
In Nanyuki. Okay. The first employment I was in Nanyuki Air Base. That is where I got my first employment. Worked a little bit, but while there, I experienced some, I would call them sexual harassment or something like that by the man of the house. Yeah. So then I decided, no, this is not a place for me. I'll get the baby, and I associated getting kids with now a life of poverty and such.
So this man had a family,
yes.
But the man was hitting on you. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, that is.
You can tell. So he was hitting on you.
Yes.
And his wife knew.
No. He didn't know, because the wife was working in Nanyuki town and the guy was just working within the camp, the place. Yeah. So then he would come back during the day and yes.
And make advances.
Yes.
And how far did this go?
Yes, actually I used to refuse, and one day that made me make my mind that I'm going to leave, he almost raped me. And I realized, no, this is a matter of time, but then by the time I realized he'll rape me. Yeah. So that is when I decided to leave. And I told the woman or the wife that no, I think I'll leave. But she never even asked me why.
She didn't?
She didn't. She just told me, it's okay.
Was he there when you did that?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you took off?
I just took off.
Next job?
Yes, then I went back to a home, stayed a little bit, and then in October of 1994, then another sister of mine who lived in Meru came for me and told me she had a friend who needed a house help, and then I accompanied her to Meru. So then I went and started working, which I did. I thank my parents because they had brought us up like hardworking children, and so working for me was not an issue. But I worked for a few months, and the work was a lot. And
how was the family?
The family was, I would say, we had a relationship of a boss and a house help, yeah? That was the kind of the relationship we had. But that was not an issue because I had gone there to work, and which I did faithfully. But at some point, the work was a lot, and the mother-in-law to this woman one day asked her, I mean, this is a lot for this particular child. She's still, now I turned 16.
She's very young.
Yes. But she said, it's my money that is working. So I realized poverty is bad, yeah?
Poverty is real.
Yeah, it is real.
How long did you work there?
I think I worked from October to April 1990.
And then you left?
Yes, then I left. So, and I decided, I'll never get employed again like a house help. So I left and went to my sister's place, and I decided to stay with her for a few days before I left for Nanyuki. But while there, I went to a place of her work. She used to work in a salon, boutique, where she was employed by a certain lady to sell clothes when she was doing her stuff, salon stuff. But there, one of her clients came, and she did introduce me as her baby sister. And this client happened to have a grandchild. Her daughter had deferred from, like, she had taken a break from college to nurse her little baby, and now it was time for her to go back to school. Then they needed someone to go and to be a nanny. And I didn't want at first, because I had made up my mind working again as a house help, So, but we negotiated, and I agreed to go and work for 1 month, within which they were supposed to arrange themselves and look for another house help. But let me say, from the word go, when I went to this particular family, the way they just received me, I could tell they were good people. And yes, I had to keep my words. I had promised that I will leave after 1 month, but by the time 1 month is over, I was just contemplating, But I had to say, now I have to leave, because we had agreed that I would leave, But the grandmother to this grandchild said, "Simi uniachua mtoto, so wait for the mother to come, umwambie story unaniambia." So when the mother came to visit her son, I reminded her that our agreement was I stay for 1 month, and 1 month is over. What are your plans? And she told me, no problem. If you want to leave, you can just leave and leave your baby. So where was I going to eat someone else's child? So then that was how I say I happened to stay with this particular family.
And you had grown attached to this child.
Yes. Actually, the child was 8 months by the time the mom was going back to school. And comparing to what I was doing there with what I had done before, this was nothing, because my work was barely just to look after the baby.
How old is that kid today?
Then?
Today?
Today, he's a big boy. He's 24, 25.
Are you in touch?
Very much. He calls me his second mom.
How long did you stay with him?
I stayed with them for almost 3 years. Wow. Because I joined them May of 1995 up to 1997.
So this kid must have considered you his mother then?
Yes. Even today we have a very special relationship with him. Yes.
He might end up marrying one of your daughters, but that's another story.
No, I'm like their family, actually.
Okay, so when did the big break come?
Yes. I stayed with this particular family, and we had a very good relationship with them. And the boy had, by the time, it was during around November of 1997. The boy had already turned 3 years, and the mother had finished the college and settled in Nairobi. So in 1998, the boy was supposed to join the mom to start school in Nairobi. And yes, this particular family, now the grandparent for this particular boy, one beautiful morning, I just prepared breakfast and served them as usual. They had a tradition of taking their breakfast outside the house, and under a very nice tree. Just prepared my breakfast as usual, served them, and when I was just going back to the house, the woman calls me. Now, Mom, I call her Mom, and she asks me, "Carol, would you study if you were taken back to school?" Jeff, I never thought. By this time now, I'm 19 years, I never even thought about that. I just said yes. So excited. But Mom she laughed and told me, "I want you to spend today, think about it, and tomorrow morning you tell me what you decided." So the following morning came, and when she woke up, the first question was, "What did you decide?" And I told her, "Mom, as long as you're going to cater for everything and you're not going to involve my parents, I've decided I'm going back to school." Well, I not that I didn't want my parents to be involved, but I was afraid. I didn't know how they are going to react. So, and I think I was afraid that my dad would refuse that I be taken back to school. But She told me, don't worry, I'll take care of that. So we agreed. She just went, actually, she just left. She did not even take breakfast. She just went straight to a nearby village school and booked a class for me for the next year. Class 7 at the age of 19.
Wow.
Yes, I had decided, because she told me, and because you've decided to go back to school, I don't want you to stop at Form 4. I want you to bring me a degree here. So
what was the average age of the pupils there in your class?
12, 13.
So you walk in and you're like their teacher almost.
I tell you, a teacher, a mother, everything.
What did they say? What was it like?
The first day was so let me say, it was so it had a mixture of feelings, because this is a village school, and kids from in this school were from the same village. So the first day I went to report to school, kids just came running, come and see this housemaid from Kabiti's housemaid is back to school. It was a big thing.
Oh, because it was small village, everyone knows everyone else.
Yes. Oh. So they came, everyone came to see this house help and everything, stuff like that. But I thought that was not the issue, Jeff. The issue was now when the village got the wind of it, that this house girl had gone back to school. There's this tradition in most villages that these young men will just sit by the road, and I don't know what they do, whether counting people who are passing on vehicles. I don't know what they do.
I don't.
So, and the first term was tough, because they would laugh at me and call me a grandmother, has gone back to school, she's just going to shame herself, akishindwa na watoto, she'll be the last in school and such stuff.
And you had uniform?
I had uniform. And
was that tough for you?
Let me say, God had given me special grace, because I never thought about my age, even when they are just calling me a grandmother. I was just focused about going back to school and not letting this family down and giving them a degree. How it was to come about, I didn't know, but I knew that is what they wanted, and that is what I was going to give them. But I thank God because of Mom. I call her Mom, Mrs. Kabiti, because when I told her what was happening, she told me, Carol, your focus is school. Don't look sideways. Just focus to school. And one day you'll come back to this village in your own vehicle with staff, and those men, they are the ones who are going to offload, Carol, what are they doing? Them who are not grandmothers, yeah? What are they doing their lives seated by the roadside, yeah?
Okay. So how did you do in school then?
Very well, Jeff.
All the way from 4 KCSE?
Very well.
And then?
From there, from first term, let me say, I never became number 2. Number one until I did the KCP, now the second time. That was in 1999. And I led my school and all the schools in the neighborhood.
Number 1?
Yes.
Sure was number 1.
Number 1. And the record that I am told that the record that year still stands.
To this day?
To this day.
Wow.
That is what I'm told, yeah?
Wow.
So from there, I went to provincial school then. Today it's called county school or something, called Kaga Girls.
Kaga, yes. I know Kaga.
Yes.
My sister went to Kaga.
Wow, that's nice. Yes, that is where
Very
I went for my secondary education. And
what did you get in?
I got a B+.
B+.
And a very strong one.
Okay.
Yes, and that is how I ended up in the University of Nairobi. So at the University of Nairobi, I got a scholarship.
To?
No.
Hold on. Okay, so your parents now, do they know you're back in school?
Yes, they did.
And what are they saying at this time?
I know, my mom was so excited. When I went to tell them, my mom had no issue. She told me, you are the one who have decided to go back to school. No, unajisomea rudi. But my dad was not at home at that particular time. He had gone for the exchange program. He was in Kapsabet to see his other family. So
exchange program. I thought this was a educational.
No, he had gone to see
the
our
other
family.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when he heard in the end?
No. When he came back and my mom informed him what had happened, he was so excited actually. And his reaction was he wanted to come and see this particular family. They had decided to take a stranger back to school because we are not related by blood, not by tribe, not by anything. So, and they came, visited the family, and said, "Huyu ni mtoto wenu kutoka leo. Do whatever you want with her." And he told me, "Now ni wazazi wako from today. Usiwahi kuangalia vibaya. And that is how we started a beautiful relationship. Now as one of their daughters, and not as a house help.
Folks, what a story. What a story. Caroline Chemnangoi, former house help turned student, and then got a scholarship to Norway, where she lives to this day. Never ever give up, and never ever listen to people who want to put you down.
Very true, Jeff.
By the way, real quick, did you drive the car back, and did these guys offload your goods? Real quick, before we go to break, quick.
Yes. When I went to Norway and I managed to save some little coins from what we were being given, I decided to just come home and say thank you to Mom, and I bought them a set of sofa sets. Yeah? And these are the guys who overloaded the pickup.
I love it.
Yes,
Well done.
They did.
I tell you this story. Caroline Chemnangoi. Do not forget this name. Her book is called Resilience, Reflections of Determination and God's Providence. From a house help, a maid, nanny, you name it, to going back to class 7 at the age of 19, all the way to university. And right now in the story, we are at the University of Nairobi. You're studying social studies, and you apply for a scholarship, or you hear about a scholarship.
So when we chose social work, we knew about this, yeah? And in due time, we were informed about it, and we applied about...
Did you ever think you'd end up in a foreign country? I mean, look, you're from Nanyuki by way of Kapsabet, Brewing, Changa.
When we were growing up, even Nairobi was very far for us. Yeah, because actually I remember I came to Nairobi when I was when I now joined the Kabitis family. We used to come and visit the mother of the child I was taking care of.
Yes.
So I never even thought about that. And even if someone happened to tell me that one day you'll do your studies in Norway, I would just think you
So you apply?
Yes, we applied.
You get the scholarship?
Yes, we applied and went through interview process, and the results came. And when I least expected, because the first 2 students got their results and started preparing to leave, and one day I just received a call and I was told, this is in reference to the interview you did, are you still interested? I never even thought twice. I just accepted. It was amazing, but I think what made me that I think I had made a mistake is that 5th of September 2007, I landed in Oslo and went out of the airport, and the call, that was not even anything according to them. It was in September. I mean, it was too early.
Yeah.
But it was cold, Jeff. I had this big jacket. You'd think it's like a small forest just moving around, yeah?
And you were still freezing.
Yes, and everything was so everything was so amazing.
Yeah.
Not from even the taps, the first time you're just approaching a door and door is opening on its own. You want to wash your hands in the toilet in the airport and the water is just running. You're like just fast to what is happening. Yeah? So everything was new. It was just an experience on its own.
And then the most difficult part is learning the language.
That was the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
And the scholarship condition was that first you do the language, after which you're supposed to continue the scholarship. And if you failed twice, 2 attempts, you're supposed to go back home.
Was it tough?
It was. So hapo ilikuwa tu naliwe liwalo. There was no plan B.
Yeah.
No.
So you started learning the language?
Yes, we did the language for first academic year, and after that then I started my degree in Norwegian.
How long did it take you to learn Norwegian?
I think the very first year you taught just basics, yeah. I would say that ile tu naitwa aji unatoka wapi, and even that was very difficult. Sometimes you'd be asked what is your name and you're just there hopeless. You don't even know jina lako useme aji. But now after learning the basics, it was easier. After starting learning, because
let's face it,
lectures were in Norwegian, everything in Norwegian, so it was easier.
Okay, Norway, there are not many people who look like us.
No. That's true.
Yeah. Did you experience any racism over there?
Racism, it's a crime.
In Norway?
In Norway, it's a crime.
Come on.
Yes, it is.
They can't call you monkey over there?
They can't. They
can't throw bananas at you?
No, they can't. They cannot even talk in a way that they want to, look down.
Come
only
on.
Because of your everywhere. Not even employers. They're not supposed to discriminate you
Come
based
on
on your cultural background.
So you've never
Skin
experienced
color.
racism?
I was just traveling locally, and in the airport, I just happened to pass on the queue. There was this lady who looked like she came from Asia or something, and she started telling me, "You don't do that. This is not Africa." And I looked. I don't know how, but something just came up, and I felt so angry. And I told her, "Leave our Africa alone. We are okay with our Africanism, yeah. So we are in the queue. This has nothing to do with Africa." So I think that the only experience I would say that
She wasn't even Norwegian.
she was not even Norwegian. Actually, I think she's married there. She had 2 kids and a Norwegian man. And actually, the kids and the man they just stepped aside and looked at us as we were trying to argue out.
I mentioned you have 3 children.
Yes, I have 3 girls.
So is your husband Norwegian?
No. My husband is Kenyan from Chuka. That is, we are married. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And your children live there?
We lived there, but at some point they relocated. That time I had not finished my school. So because of language and other challenges, my husband realized that he was much better. I don't plan when to travel, but mostly twice or thrice a year.
And the kids are where?
Yes, they are.
In Norway?
No. Kids
they're
are
here?
Yeah.
Okay. Would they want to come to Norway? Do they speak Norwegian?
No, they don't. Okay. They are all born there, but they don't speak Norwegian.
Really?
Yeah.
You're the only one who speaks Norwegian?
I'm the only one.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, bottom line, the reason for writing this book, Resilience, Reflections of Determination and God's Providence. Why?
Jeff, this year I was turning 40, and I was just asking myself, what gift can I give to myself as my 40th birthday gift? And this is how I decided to put my experiences down in form of a book that they may encourage someone. Apart from being a house girl, Jeff, I've gone through a few other challenges. At some point, I survived 2 rape cases and some more rape attempts. And,
Wait, in Kenya or?
Yeah, in Kenya, when I was still living with my parents back in Anyuki. And during then, it was not easy, even the relationship I had with my parents then. Nepal too, when you report such case, they first beat you before they listen to what you're telling them.
Was it a family friend?
No, but neighbors, people who are known to the family. So, and other than that, in high school, I used to struggle with these experiences. And also, by the time I was in high school, my dad was diagnosed with diabetes. One of my sisters was, struggling with her last stages of HIV, and those experiences were not good. And you at that particular age, you don't even know who to talk to, and I was struggling with all these issues. And at some point, I started declining. I was a good performer, but in my final year in high school, I started declining because of all these issues that I'm carrying with me. And the age still had started becoming an issue. By the time I was 25. Yeah, by the time I was doing my Form 4 exam.
Yeah.
And this is why I decided to put these experiences in form of a book that someone would read and realize that in life, it doesn't. It is not about what happens to you. It is all about how you respond to what happens.
Where is the book available if people want to know?
Yes, currently I'm just doing deliveries. People can book through a page on Facebook called Resilience.
Called?
Or Resilience.
On Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook.
Okay.
Or through my Facebook, Caroline Chemnangoi column.
Actually, if people want to get in touch with you, and I'm sure many do, just to get a bit of inspiration from you, how do they do that?
And I don't know if you allow people to give their phone number.
You want to do that?
I can.
Is it a Norwegian number or Kenyan number?
No, Kenyan.
Go ahead if you want.
My number is 0705 688 460.
I can't believe she just gave away her number. All these men are going to be calling you right now. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. If someone out there is in the situation that you were in, very, what do you call it? Very, a tense situation. They're in a place they don't want to be and they want to improve in their lives. What do you tell them?
Tell them that you can go as far as you can be able to conceptualize in your mind, yeah? And believing in yourself and realizing that you are the only obstacle to yourself.
And those in vulnerable, that's the word I was looking for actually, vulnerable situations, like you know, you almost raped several times, you survived all that. What do you tell people in that situation?
Compromising about your life, and especially when it concerns your own body, there's nothing to discuss about it. There's nothing to it doesn't matter. You'd rather even lose your life as you try to fight for yourself, because you're only yourself to blame.
Would you tell this Meru family of yours? I mean, it sounds like an incredible people.
Oh God, I normally, you know what I told them, yeah? I can never pay them back. The only thing I decided to do is just to be part of them. That's the only way I can pay them back. But I want to say this, to Mrs. Kabiti. Kabiti is late. May God continue resting him in peace. Is that I'm so grateful because they took me when I was unlovable, and now they made me a lovable person. And I can never pay them back, but I'll always pray to God that may God bless them and that they may never lack. And this goes not only to Mrs. Kabiti, but to his children also. Because when Mom suggested that I go back to school, none of them objected. Actually, they took me and they called me their baby sister up to date. So they're just wonderful.
In the meantime, resilience, reflections of determination in God's providence. Caroline Chemnangoi. Remember that name, folks, because I tell you, this is a story worth listening to. The book is available. Please get in touch with her on Facebook. She is
Caroline Chemnangoi Kolom.
Chemnangoi what?
Kolom.
What is
my dad's name?
Spell column.
Kolom.
Chemnangoi Kolom. Great story, my dear.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for sharing. And you're only 40 years old.
Yes, I'm only 40 years old.
Look at that.
Just
The Hot Breakfast.